All right, welcome to Trent Jones Live. This is not a live episode, but it is recorded live because the purpose of this channel is for me to get better at communicating quickly and concisely without having to rely on editing. So I just hit record, I start talking, hopefully something helpful comes out. This is a Scotch episode. I am Trenton Jones. This is my live channel, and I am going to talk to you about Scotch today. I probably should have started with that. Next time I'll start with that. So I really enjoy Scotch. My Scotch journey started, whiskey journey started years ago. I don't even remember when. I should go back and do the math, but it's been a very long time, well over a decade. I had a friend that offered me a Laphroaig. I think it was a quarter cask Laphroaig, and he said maybe it was 10, maybe it was Laphroaig 10. It was more likely Laphroaig 10. But he told me, hey, have you ever had Scotch? And I was like, no, I haven't ever had Scotch. And he was like, you should try this. So he poured me a Scotch. I've got a Scotch here. I'll tell you what it is in a second. It is not Laphroaig. But he poured me a glass, and he was like, try it. And I smelled it, and I immediately, if you're a Scotch fan, you will understand. If you're not a Scotch fan, you also might understand, because I think when people think of Scotch, they think about peated Scotch. They think about smoky, peaty, campfirey Scotches. And I smelled it, and I was like, this smells like a campfire. I love this. And then I had my first sip, and I was like, ooh, it's like a punch in the face. And then I had that first sip, and I was like, it tastes like a campfire. I love campfires. My company, my business, Glowfire Creative, Glowfire is revolves around the idea of a fire and the warmth and the glow that it creates, and how a fire is a space where you cook food for people. You gather around the fire for warmth, and it brings a light into a dark space, and you get to sit around and talk and share stories around the fire, and there's a camaraderie and community that happens around a fire. And so this idea of this like campfire being embodied in a drink was immediately I was like hooked. Like, I love Scotch. And then it'd been a long time after that I like would have whiskey in drinks, but it wasn't like something I was like kind of obsessed with like I am now. At least my wife would tell you I'm probably obsessed with Scotch. And but it was this like slow build, and then probably 5 years or so, I like started to get some Scotches. And I had a friend that got married. My friend Jake got married, and we all collectively pitched in and bought him a nice bottle of Scotch, a 20 Balvenie 21-year-old Portwood, a bottle of Scotch for his wedding, for a bachelor party. And he like kept it for years, and we would slowly drink it together, him and the groomsmen, the people that were at the wedding. And then when I got married 2 years ago, my similar group of friends, we did the same kind of thing. They bought me an 18-year-old Macallan, and it just like, I still have it. I have about half the bottle left, slowly trying to make it last as long as possible, only drinking it with people at the wedding. And then over the past year or so, I really like caught the bug, and I'm like, I want more of this. So that's the reason behind why I'm talking about Scotch. This channel is where I just talk about what I care about, what I'm interested in, and if you're interested, you can join me. If you're not, you don't have to join me. So I want to talk about Scotch, and I've been thinking about what Scotch to start with. You can see I've got some. It's still hard. I've got some back here, some bottles. At some point, I'll talk about all of them. I am not an expert. There is no right or wrong in Scotch. I'm a big coffee fan. I love single origin coffee and tasting all the different ways that coffee can be grown, and how the terroir affects the flavor of the coffee, and then how the coffee is processed and how it's roasted. And there's so much that can happen in coffee, and the same goes for distilled alcohol like Scotch, like whiskey. And I'm not an expert, but I enjoy all of the differences and varieties and the experience that a drink can be. And again, going back to the idea of that campfire, it's something that draws people together, and it's something people can come together around, and it inspires conversation, and good conversation happens, and good friendship and good moments happen when you're sharing a glass of whiskey together. Scotch is a type of whiskey. Maybe at some point I'll talk about that, but you probably are aware of that for the most part. But yeah, so this is a Scotch from the Linkwood distillery. I've got it here. This is Signatory Vintage is the bottler. So let's see if I can get this to focus. I probably need to get it in front of my face. It's really hard to do this. Let's see. Come on. Well, there we go. That's better. So this is a independent bottler, Signatory. It's a very famous independent bottler. What this means is that they buy the whiskey from a certain distillery and they bottle it themselves. They might do their own work on it, but it comes from a specific distillery, versus you could buy a Linkwood official bottling from Linkwood. This is an independent bottler who has bought Linkwood from the distillery and put it under their own name. This is an 11-year-old Scotch from a second fill Oloroso sherry butt. Maybe I'll talk more about that at some point, but basically this is the second time that whiskey has been used in these barrels. So the barrels that this was aged in were used once before for whiskey. This is 50% alcohol by volume, which is good. Really good whiskey is 46% or higher, because it's actually the alcohol that carries the flavor, and the rest of what's in here is just distilled water that comes from the distillery, and that doesn't really have much effect on the whiskey itself. The flavor. And so if you get a bottle that is 40% alcohol, which is the Scotch legal minimum requirement, it will have less flavor, less texture, less oomph behind it than one that is higher in alcohol. So this is from the Linkwood distillery. I'm not an expert on Scotch whiskey. I'm not an expert on these distilleries or anything like that, but let's see if I can get this in here and kind of, I'm just going to put it over here because it's not helping. So yeah, this is a Linkwood, Scotch from Linkwood. Linkwood is, I believe it's Campbelltown. I'm pretty sure it's Campbelltown. It might also be Highland. Yeah, Linkwood, it's probably Highland, but it also might be Campbelltown. I'm pretty sure it's Highland, though. It is a very fruity whiskey, and it's got a really unique body to it. It's very dense and viscous, and it's just delicious. You may not be able to find this exact bottle, but I would commend Linkwood Distillery to you. Again, look out for something that is higher alcohol by volume. You can always add water to it to water it down if it's too strong for you, but you can't make it stronger if you buy it at a lower percentage. So that's why independent bottler like Signatory is a really great plan, because they bottle it at a higher percent and then you can do what you would like with it. There's no right or wrong to drink whiskey. Some people say you have to add water. Some people say you should never add water. Some people say drinking Scotch on the rocks is not good. You can do whatever tastes good to you. It's the same thing with coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. At some point, I'll be talking about coffee on this channel. And you want to make your coffee the way you enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, what's the point of drinking it? So cheers to 2026 and the first Scotch video on my channel. If you hear my wife making a racket out there, she's cooking. And I'm not going to complain about it because she's cooking delicious food for us to eat tonight. So while I'm in here talking to you about whiskey. So I'm gonna kind of spin it in the glass here, get it so it covers the glass. It's got like a creaminess to it. It smells kind of like cream. It's got like a fig, like a sweetness, like a fig to it. It's got a little bit of a funkiness to it. It's weird. Scotch, you can get really weird things that sound bad, like, I don't know, maybe pickle juice doesn't sound bad to you, but like tar, ash, oil. There's all these weird things that you would think don't taste good. But in Scotch, you can have things that in real life are gross, and you can get those smells and flavors in the whiskey, but it is delicious. So it's kind of strange. This definitely has a weird, like, funkiness, like a musty funk to it. There's a little bit of like mineral in there too, like slate, like a chalkboard. If you think about like what that smells like, there's a little bit of that in here too. Let's go ahead and try it. I picked this Scotch because it is incredible. It is very good. It's got this solid sweetness, but that very viscous and textured and intricate. It's not sharp or harsh. It's only 11 years old. That's a reasonably aged whiskey, especially for Scotch. That's reasonably aged. 10 years is a standard. 10 to 12 is a standard age range. But 11 is a unique age. You don't typically see Scotch at 11, especially from official bottlings. You see 10 or 12 typically. So this is kind of an in-between. It's got this deep mouthfeel, but it also has this it like coats your mouth in this like sweetness, and it's not sharp or harsh. It's very smooth and elegant, but it also is weird. It's got this oiliness and this rugged. It's in the style of whiskey that a lot of people don't like, especially at first. It's kind of rough and rugged and industrial flavor. So it's got it's kind of got this weird funkiness that is just delicious. I don't know how to say it any differently than that. Caramel, banana, like ripe banana, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of wood tannins, like oak tannin on the sides of the tongue. It's very, very good. Like very almost overripe fruits. Plum, dates. Delicious. It's from an Oloroso sherry butt, so sherry adds a depth. Sherry is a type of wine, and they age it in oak casks, and so then they use those barrels, and then they put whiskey in them once they've had sherry, or they've been prepared for sherry. That's a bigger discussion for another day. So this has some of that. So it has a little bit of like Christmas spice and just a touch of cinnamon in here, and it is delightful. So one more. Yeah, figs, plum, allspice, a little bit of allspice, a little cinnamon, but some like white grape, like dry white grape, kind of wine, kind of like a wininess to it. It is amazing. So anyway, this is my first whiskey video. This isn't a whiskey channel. I'm not a whiskey expert, but I want to talk about some of the things that I enjoy. So yeah, Signatory Vintage. This is the 100 proof edition. This is a single malt Scotch whiskey from the Linkwood distillery, and I very strongly commend this to you. Let's see if I can get to focus again for camera. Also, I need to find a... Oh, wait, let's see if I can manually do it. Let's try it. Let's go like this. Can I manually focus this? It's not letting me. Huh, I'm surprised it's not letting me. There we go. Wait. No, there we go. Well, we'll just go like this. Linkwood, Signatory edition. Check it out. Anyway, it's not about drinking a lot. It's not about drinking all the time. It's about enjoying something good, especially with people, with friends. That's why I'm doing it with you. Maybe at some point we can do a live and have all of us have a drink. Maybe we'll just talk about what we enjoy. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, and until next time, enjoy a dram, have some whiskey with some friends, and use that as an opportunity to not get hammered, not to just go crazy, but to enjoy something that is crafted, that requires people putting a lot of work and effort into it to make something remarkable, something that nature does, but humanity has learned to work with nature to create something beautiful. That's what this is. I don't know. I don't have a ranking system right now. I would say if I am like between 1 and 100, I guess is the standard ranking. I would say this is very good. I would say this is probably a 90 out of 100. So we'll just say 90 out of 100. This will be what we set our standard by. This is incredibly delicious and not that expensive. This bottle was probably, I mean, expensive is relative, but this bottle was probably $80. For 50% alcohol, you can spend way more than that for 43% alcohol, or even a 40% Macallan can be the same price as this bottle. But yeah, if you want something kind of funky and unique, go for it. Linkwood, 11-year-old Oloroso Sherry casked by Signatory Vintage. So anyway, cheers. Until next time, have a dram with some friends and good conversation. Thanks for watching.